Hello everyone, it's Jamal Thomas. Welcome to the Progressive Soapbox. I still have these Star Trek things here because I plan on doing a Star Trek video. My powers are beginning to fade, so that may not be till tomorrow, and I have 3 quick in succession that I want to do. If I missed you during the door interview, meaning if you put up a comment for Super Chat or something, let me know. I hate allowing the Super Chats to go by without me reading comments, and when I do my interviews, I don't always see them. I see them towards the end. Sometimes the door had to leave, and so I didn't get the chance to ask them before he left. So my apologies for something like that. Thank you for your support of the show. My apologies. Do you remember? I don't remember the year, but it was during the Obama administration. Obama is working with Iran, and they come up with a deal. And with this nuclear deal, Benjamin Netanyahu is opposed to it. Israel, completely opposed to it. Netanyahu comes to the well of Congress and makes an argument. Democrats mostly leave. Cory Booker, being the stooge that's paid for in large part, in many degrees by AIPAC, sits there while a member of a foreign country, a right-wing member of a foreign country, bashes the president of his party and goes against what the president of his party is pushing for. The Republican Party doesn't sign on to this deal at all. There's no way to make this a treaty. Obama just does this on his own. Democrats wave their fist at how dare you not allow this man to create this deal when he's trying to stop a war. I was one of those people. How dare you not assist this man prevent a war? This is a deal. This is a good deal. Get behind it. Role reversal. Donald Trump going to North Korea. And in Donald Trump going to North Korea, he stumbled into this, meaning in a clownish, bumbling way, he stumbled into a meeting with North Korean leader. On the flip side now, Democrats have decided to sabotage this. Openly deciding to sabotage it. They come up with a hardline approach, putting out a list of demands, 5 of them, several of which would never be allowed, or at the very least 1 of which would never be agreed upon. Even if you had 4 reasonable demands, if one of them is one where you can't agree upon regardless of the situation, it's a poison pill. It is impossible to get to that edge. In World War I, after the death of Archduke Ferdinand, a list of demands was sent to Serbia. One of those demands was that we ourselves want to create or want to have courts inside your country, meaning we want to essentially usurp elements of your justice system to go after and prosecute certain people. That's, of course, is a fail. No country in their right mind is going to let you usurp their justice system, with the exception of neoliberals who are pushing for the Trans-Pacific Partnership, in which case you would have corporations that can run roughshod over countries' laws. But most countries in their right mind, who are not necessarily bought and corrupt, don't allow certain things like that. Democrats are telling them that they need to give up their nuclear weapons. I'm giving a summary. But the main thing, the poison pill, is going to be the nuclear test or the nuclear question. No country in their right mind is going to give up nuclear weapons. I've read CNN's take on this. CNN is fucking retarded. They're full of idiots. They have this thing talking about the United States is going to be closer potentially to North Korea than China, and that North Korea may be using the United States as a bulwark against China. This is nonsense. Utter nonsense. Look at it from their perspective for the moment. If North Korea comes back and says, you know what, we'll give up our nuclear program if you give rid of your nuclear weapons, we would think that would be utterly insane. And yet, that is effectively what we're asking them to do. We're asking them to do that in the context of a world where maniac John Bolton was out there talking about North Korea was part of an axis of evil, and that the Gaddafi model would be the model that we should use on them. Meaning, Gaddafi got sodomized with a machete after he gave up his weapons. North Korea will be insane to give up his weapons. If I was a person affixed to the moon looking at the situation, I would think that country would be insane to give up his nuclear weapons in the context of the behavior of the United States. We can't be trusted. We're not a trusted actor, and oftentimes we have bad intent. That being said, negotiations are a process. You don't necessarily have the expectation in real world terms to be reasonable for Donald Trump to go and get everything that Donald Trump wants in one meeting. This is kind of my point where I say their demands and their list of demands that they're holding up. We need all of these conditions met, or we're going to have mandatory sanctions. Well, that's nonsense. It's a negotiation. It's a process. They're doing this in order to sabotage the meeting with North Korea. I don't like Donald Trump. I don't like him at all. However, my value system is not based within a party, nor is it based in Donald Trump. I give two shits about whether or not the Democratic Party exceeds. I don't give two shits whether that party implodes. Same way for the Republican Party. There are things that I want affected in the world. One of those things, to some degree, is peace. If Donald Trump can start a process in which we are less hostile with them, I am all for Donald Trump doing that process. If that process does not, or if they don't give up their weapons in that process, I don't care. I care about the peace process. I have no expectation. It is massively unreasonable to believe that Donald Trump is going to leave there with North Korea giving up all of his weapons, getting the whole kit and caboodle, having North Korea just lay down, pull his britches over for the United States. It's nonsense. Peace, interactions, is based on trust. There is no trust at this point. So the idea of having them have certain expectations, or us having expectations of them to act as if they trust us, is insanity. It's nonsense. It's a start. That's all it is. That's all you could ever think it is. If you're looking at this as anything but, you're magnificently mistaken. This is one step in a process in which I think Donald Trump bumbled himself into. Nevertheless, I support him on this. If he makes headway, he would get applause on this, and he should get applause on this. Democrats are trying to fuck up this process. The letter that was leaked saying that there is no expectation of them putting out nuclear weapons was a way of trying to gut the process. All of this is them trying to hit him in the knees in what he's trying to accomplish. Just because I don't like Donald Trump, it doesn't necessarily mean that I'm against each and everything that Donald Trump does. That would be a political hack. I am on the side of peace in this case, and if peace means that he can come to some level of agreement in a way that we can make headway or step forward without being in hostilities. Even if North Korea keeps its nuclear weapons, I assume that they would keep their nuclear weapons, because there is no force on this planet that will make me give up my nuclear weapons, and if you came to get me, I'm setting them off. It's their protection. You can't ask them to give up their only bullet. Democrats have demands. They're trying to blow this process. This is... what is this? Hank Yore. I don't know what that is. So let's go to USA Today. Right here. Their argument is they don't want him to do a quote-unquote flimsy deal. It's a poison pond. Senate Democrats to Trump: don't do a flimsy deal with North Korea or Congress will step in. It's not about doing a deal. It's about making the first step. Top Senate Democrats said Monday they will push for mandatory sanctions on North Korea if President Donald Trump fails to win major concessions from Kim Jong-un, including complete denuclearization, as the two leaders prepare to meet for high-stakes summit on June 12th. Look, if we give up our nuclear weapons, I guess that would be fair. There's no condition to which we would give up our nuclear weapons in this case, so why would we expect somebody else to do the same? That makes no sense to me. I don't understand that perspective. The move is intended to signal that Congress, or at least Democratic lawmakers, could try to tie the Trump administration's hands if the president makes too many promises to North Korean negotiators and doesn't get enough in return. This sounds a lot like the Iran deal. Opposite. Sounds like the Iran deal in reverse. The president has a lot of flexibility when it comes to sanctions, but it is also possible for Congress to pass mandatory sanctions or pass laws to prevent the president from waiving sanctions. Senate Democratic leader Chuck Schumer of New York said in a conference to reporters on Monday. The guy who's not even in charge of the Senate is making demands. The salvo comes as Trump is preparing for the potentially historic meeting with Kim in Singapore next week. American negotiators want North Korea to end its nuclear program and give up its weapons stockpile. North Korea wants the United States to lift crippling sanctions. Well, the nuclear thing cannot be part of it because they would never do that. Right here. U.S. Senate Democrats adopt a hardline stance ahead of Trump's Singapore meeting. Top Democrats in the Senate, including Senate minority, quote-unquote, minority leader, because they failed to reality show host, Chuck Wall Street Schumer, sent a letter to Trump on June 4th outlining 5 principles for brokering a deal with North Korea and held a teleconference with reporters. The 5 principles demanded by the Democrats are the shutdown and abandonment of all nuclear, chemical, and biological weapons, halting the enrichment and reprocessing of uranium and plutonium and dismantling nuclear facilities, continuing the moratorium on ballistic missile testing, holding unannounced inspections of nuclear missiles activities and reimposing sanctions if illegal activity is detected, and guaranteeing that the agreement is permanent. These are largely the same demands made by U.S. National Security Advisor John Bolton and other hardliners in the Trump administration. Yeah, it is. It is. During the same press conference, Robert, a former U.S. State Department ambassador at large on North Korea nuclear issues, expressed his approval of Trump's use of the word process in regards to North Korea denuclearization. That's good because it moves us away from a Big Bang theory of everything happening all at once. I agree. It is insane to believe that Donald Trump is going to go over there and there's going to be magic and beauty and unicorns are going to jump from the sky. In North Korea, Kim Jong-un is just going to open his chest and Donald Trump is going to suckle upon his nipple. No, it's not that way. Why do we have certain expectations of other countries in this way? That we would be stunned and appalled if they had those expectations of us. I think we need to start looking at other countries, as actual human beings who have needs and concerns that we tend to run roughshod over. Would you, knowing the way the world is now, would you, if you, some random Joe Blow, would you, if you were in charge of a country, let's say you're a bad guy. I'm not saying you're a good guy, let's say you're a bad guy. Let's say you have somewhat of a repressive government. And the United States has passed sanctions on you. The United States has murdered 1/5 of your population during the war that same United States, most of them don't even remember, took place. If you know that these guys are still holding military exercises, pretending as if they're going to invade your country, even though you hate it, they still do it. You have military right now on your border from the United States. You've seen what they did to Gaddafi. You've seen the United States destroy one country after the next. Libya. You've seen them instigate themselves in the Syrian conflict. Of all the countries in the world, despite the United States having the capacity to sanction, we've killed millions. Nobody has sanctioned us. I think Russia did, but nobody cares about that. Would you give up your ace in the hole? I always make the point that North Korea has nuclear weapons not because it wants to use them on somebody, but because it wants to protect them from maniacs. That's us. In this case, we're the ones who've been committing terrorism in one country after the next. We're the ones who've killed 1 million people in those wars. We're the ones who've been invading one country after the next. We're the ones with 70% of the world with our military in it. That's us! That's us! Understand the lunacy of us going to a country saying, we need you to be more susceptible to attacks from us. And we hate the fact that you have nuclear weapons because you are now able to defend yourself from us. No, you can't win, but at the very least you can bloody our nose. And when we go to murder large swaths of your population, we don't like the fact that you can bloody our nose. Please give rid of your nuclear weapons, and we'll make a deal with you now. Just like we broke the deal with Gaddafi, or with some of these other people. Not with Gaddafi, but we broke the deal in other capacities where we haven't kept our promises. Why would you do it? You wouldn't do it. Nobody would do it. No country in their right mind would do it. So I will leave this here. Let me check, see who's here. Wesley Walker Jr. The Trekkies are back. The Trekkies are back. Well, Wesley, I was going to do a show with Star Trek. And I ended up getting into another topic before, kind of going into other places. So I didn't get the chance to actually do the show on Star Trek. But yeah, the Trekkies are back just for a bit until I find somewhere to hang them up. So, all right. Let's see. Who else? War is good for Wall Street, and Chuck Schumer is the New York representative of Congress. There you go. Winslow, the whole idea of being able to face talks with North Korea is anti-propaganda. Fair enough. Mr. X. Let's see. Cheryl Brandon, the undemocratic party at their fascist best. Savage. No, I think, yes, but I think this is more political effect. The poison pill in this is because they don't want Donald Trump to get a win on this. There's nothing to do with a flimsy deal. Now, you can make an argument that says Donald Trump is hurting for a deal, so Donald Trump may make a flimsy deal. But Republicans will make the same argument about Obama and the Iran deal. There's a fundamental problem where you can't necessarily trust the people who are doing this stuff because you can't necessarily trust their incentives. And it forces us to be cynical when we're looking at the process. Is it possible that Donald Trump may have a shitty deal? Maybe, but I seriously doubt it because I don't necessarily think a bunch of hardliners in the Republican Party will go for it. And is it likely that Democrats are creating a poison pill that they know that would never get passed so Donald Trump won't get a win in the same way that Republicans didn't want to let Obama get a win? Yes. Both of those things are true. But what that means is national security is taking second place to their political expedience, if you want to make that point. So yeah. All right. I'm going to end this because I'm not going to keep this one long. Did you do the interview with Jimmy Dore? Mar 315. Yes. The interview was earlier. It's there. It's loaded. It's live. Check the site, dude. Check the site. It's there. The interview went well. I kept him long, but the interview went well. All right, I have a few more, two of these that I need to do that I want to get to before today because I've been trying to get to them for the last few days. And after a while, the news stories kind of go away, in which case you can't get the story again. So I'm going to do this now. Tired, my powers are fading, but I'm still going to get those stories in now. So I'll see you guys in like 10 minutes. Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.